Welcome back to more Sonic Colors Ultimate. Last time, we finished up Asteroid Coaster and made it to Terminal Velocity. This time, we are currently stuck on this stage, which I fully expected, to be honest. This is like my biggest hurdle with this game. Like, whenever I get to this stage, I have the worst time. And again, I'm pretty sure it's worse in this version. Again, I need to double check the Wii version to see if the laser actually does work. Like, it doesn't have a tell in this version. It's one of those things where I almost feel like this is so late in the game that some of the issues are less well documented. There was one problem with the stage that is very well documented and was the heart of all the seizure concerns on the Switch port. But in general, if there is some issue with the laser, it wouldn't shock me, but definitely would explain why I do feel like this is worse. But then again, in all fairness, I also hate the Wii version of this stage too, so it's not exclusive to Ultimate. This is just a me problem at a point where I just think this stage is unfair. Frankly, having a checkpoint between the laser robot, or the 3 robots section, and the Motorbug section, and then this, I think would alleviate a lot of my issues. I'm going to try something different this time. This is probably dumb. I'm going to try dodging the punches for the first phase. I think this will be easier than trying to actually, dodge the lasers. I'm gonna boost at the final part. Yeah, I'm basically trying to preserve my meter, and then I'm going to floor it at the very end of the stage. Because yeah, this is actually a lot easier. Camera's panning, which means it's the final stretch, so we're just going to burn the rest of the boost gauge here. Again, I feel like I figured out this technique before. This sounds familiar to me, but I forgot, and it definitely would save me time if I'd actually remembered that this is how I usually try to go about this stage. But yeah, this is way easier than trying to dodge. And we have our final boss. I feel like my opinion of this boss has gone down. And I'm sure everyone knows exactly why. It's not, like, a bad fight in itself, but my opinion of the fight has gotten worse over time. The main reason is it's overused. Like, this fight shows up in a lot of games. So not this exact fight, but like this laser attack, the next 2 Sonic games' final bosses have that exact laser attack. I'm not even kidding. Again, foreshadowing for whenever I eventually get to Lost World and Forces. But yeah, like, I genuinely dislike how every final boss for the next, like, when this game came out, it was 2010, so like 5 years of Sonic would basically just be this fight in some form or another. Again, some differences, like obviously, this fight itself is actually not terrible in my opinion, because it is kind of novel that it uses all the wisps against you, and you have to gradually free all the wisps. Like, that's not a bad concept for the fight. Again, my problem is just how many future games we use this fight. Again, I've talked about this in the original playthrough, I've talked about it in this revisit. Sonic Colors Ultimate, in my opinion, isn't, or Sonic Colors in general, isn't inherently terrible. It's just, it has the problem of a lot of the lessons learned from this game weren't the right lessons, and that just makes a lot of aspects of this game age worse. But yeah, in general, I actually don't feel like a lot of the gameplay choices are that bad in Colors, but they basically inspired or led to problems for the future. This fight's a lot easier than I remember it being. Like, I thought this would be like a 5-minute boss fight. As we enter the final stage, two things. One, the firework was actually missing at launch. They had to patch that in. And two, the void behind us, this is the thing that caused the seizure problems on Switch. I don't remember if this particular part was disproven. There were some things that were emulation glitches that were being faked. I don't remember if this part was fake or not. There were other things that were proven, though. And with that, we have completed the Egg Shuttle mode. We have our final times for each area. I think the last stage was like 7 minutes, which is definitely kind of typical for me. But overall, 94 minutes, 39 seconds. Not too bad for a first attempt. Now we get to put in our name very quickly here. So we're not quite done yet. There are a couple more notes I wanted to mention really quickly in terms of new content for Colors Ultimate. First of all, this animation is kind of glitchy. Sonic is not supposed to walk this slowly, so yeah, that's kind of messed up. Kind of a nitpick at that point, but worth mentioning. But a new feature is Rival Rush. Rival Rush, do you accept? Rival Rush is just going through the stages that you would normally go through, except you basically have a time limit as you have to race Metal Sonic. This mode has obviously been criticized quite a bit because of like the somewhat low-budget looking like animation at the beginning showing Metal Sonic. Even in-game, his animation isn't exactly superb. I've actually not completed all of these myself because a lot of the times are actually shockingly strict, and I remember there being a lot of criticism of that. That a lot of the Metal Sonic times are just so absurdly precise that it's actually really difficult to complete all these. So yeah, I haven't actually done all of these. There's one preset mission for each world, so this one is Tropical Resort Act 3, and there's like Sweet Mountain Act 2, I want to say. But I may be misremembering. Again, that's one of the ones I never completed because I never figured out how to get through it fast enough. Yeah, kind of a nice little bonus challenge, but again, it's essentially just a time limit. I kind of wish there had been like original stages for it maybe, but that definitely would have been possibly above like the budget of this particular collection. And yeah, Metal Sonic himself doesn't exactly animate a lot, so he also looks kind of low budget. There were animated tie-ins featuring Metal Sonic. I haven't actually watched those, to be honest. Never got around to them for some reason. A lot of the stages picked for the Rival Rushes are also like slow stages, like stages that have a lot of waiting anyway, which definitely doesn't help the feeling of like these stages being very stressful to get through quickly because you have to constantly like stop and wait for like all these moving platforms. Completing these gives you like 50 park tokens or something. It's a lot, so it can be worth it. And other than that, the normal act clear screen plays, and yeah, the animation, the like splash screens definitely don't look super great, to be honest. But again, this definitely feels a little bit like a budget remaster.
Next up, the Tropical Resort.
Finally, let's go over some things in the options menu.
The option satellite.
So we have this little stats screen showing all the story acts, the Chaos Emeralds, Red Rings, and Rival Rushes. There are some quirks even going into the settings. For example, music and sound effects are mixed into the same slider, which I definitely disagree with because of how the audio mixing is. You have like different like settings. Again, I'm pretty sure like boost and slide are switched by default, but I switched it to be more like Generations and Unleashed for this playthrough. These are the only options you can change. Other than like right bumper for Wisps, you don't use the other shoulder buttons at all, pretty much. But in addition to that, you also have like tutorial options, boost blur, yeah, choosing the soundtrack, so like you have it mixed, or just the originals, or just the remixes. Again, kind of a cool feature. You also have very slow menus. Every time you like switch tabs, it feels like the game's about to crash. But we also have tons of cosmetic options. So we have different types of gloves for Sonic. Some are actually pre-order exclusive, or not pre-order, but like the digital deluxe exclusive, and then they eventually released them in like a DLC. So like there were actually special effects based on the Sonic movie. We'll get to that in a moment. But other than that, I think everything else is unlockable by default. So yeah, you have different shoes, you have different auras. This is the thing that was like DLC. You also have a dark aura for defeating Metal Sonic in 5 Rival Rush races. But yeah, if you buy the DLC, or if you got like the digital deluxe version, you would get a like a boost themed based on like the electric theming of the Sonic movie, because in the movies, yeah, his boost has like electricity. So yeah, that is an option. Yeah, you also have different like boost effects also. Again, this is 6 Rival Rushes, so to unlock everything, you have to clear all of these, which I don't know if I have the patience for. I might have to look up a walkthrough someday to figure out the best routing for some of the rival races, because some of them are actually pretty daunting. You also have a ton of profile icons. This was also something for the like digital deluxe, and also I think it's also obtainable via DLC. You also have profile icons for movie Sonic, and I think Baby Sonic from the first movie. Yeah, this game came out like November. It was like fall 2021, so this was before the second Sonic movie. You have icons for all the Wisps. You have like Eggman, Orbot, Cubot, Sonic, Amy, Shadow, classic artwork, sprite artwork, Blind Squirrel Games, the remaster studio for this collection that also worked on games like the BioShock collection and the Mass Effect Legendary Edition. Sonic Team, classic Tales, like more modern Tales, all sorts of Chow, Big the Cat, Blaze the Cat, Silver Vector, Sega logos. But then it gets really interesting as you get further down the line. The 30th anniversary logo. This game was kind of part of the 30th anniversary celebration. Yeah, Puyos. You have a mashup from the Sega Ages 3DS box art. Virtual Fighter, Altered Beast, Samba de Amigo, Nights, Christmas Nights, Alex Kidd, Skies of Arcadia. This is like the first time Skies of Arcadia has been acknowledged by, or a lot of these have been acknowledged by Sega outside of like All-Stars Racing Transformed. You know, Shining Force, Rent-A-Hero. I don't know if I even know what that is. Clockwork Knight, also not familiar. Shenmue, Crazy Taxi, Chet Grind Radio, not Chet Set Radio. There was a localization difference. The Panzer Dragoons, Rez, Space Channel 5. These are Phantasy Star characters. Nega-Wisp, Mew, and maybe also Chaz. I'm not familiar with Phantasy Star, to be honest. Yeah, I think these two are also II and Metal Sonic. So yeah, you have profile icons for like every Sega franchise practically. It's kind of amazing seeing all these acknowledged. And Sonic Colors Ultimate of all games has like profile pictures for like yeah, your profile. You also have all your best times for all the acts, and also your red rings collected. Yeah, D rank at terminal velocity. That was a better run, but still not great. I know the trick to it at least, so maybe I'll be able to get through that someday. Oh, that does have red rings. Actually, wasn't. I didn't actually realize that. This is telling you about Gameland to unlock Supersonic by getting all the red rings, and you also have a video viewer, which at launch, the video viewer would play in this window. It wouldn't full screen. They've added the ability. They've added it. They've made it full screen now, but at launch, yeah, it would play in this window, which in a way, given that these cutscenes are still basically designed for 480p, it's not the worst thing in the world, I suppose. Yeah, definitely stands out as like an oversight, not being able to full screen. You also have all the music as well, including the new remixes. So yeah, a lot of neat little extras. Again, this collection is definitely very interesting, to be honest. Or not collection, this remaster.
Next stop, the
So that was a quick look at Sonic Colors Ultimate. We went through all of the stages again, went over Rival Rush and all the customization options briefly. So yeah, I hope you enjoyed this quick revisit. Again, I still stand by this game being pretty okay, but again, leading to some questionable choices for the franchise going forward, but that this game is still pretty fun. Again, if you have the choice, I would still say the Wii version is the best way to play this, I think. But in its current state, and if you have like the current gen consoles, I definitely think Ultimate is still an okay way to experience the game, even if it isn't the optimal way to experience the game. But with that being said, I hope you enjoyed this. And thank you for watching, and I hope you'll join me next time for something different.